Everyone, Mrs. Ritchie here. Welcome to Fine Art Friday. Today I'm so excited because we get to do one of my favorite artists. He's actually an artist, an animator, and a filmmaker. His name is Tim Burton, and he comes from Burbank, California. He's an American artist and filmmaker, like I said, and he's famous for his style, which is remarkable. We'll call it Gothic fantasy style, and it's really good for the fall months because it's so interesting and it's so stylized, and you're going to love it. So he is famous for Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, and Frankenweenie, and many, many other things that you may have seen before. Tim Burton's style is very unique. Today, we're going to be making self-portraits in a Tim Burton style. Self-portraits are just pictures of you that you're going to use some of his famous styles of art. Let's start by showing you some of his characters. Pretty cool, huh? Here's some more. Kind of very cool and very easily recognizable. And so we're going to be using some of these face shapes. These are the face shapes. They're a little bit pointy on the chin. They usually have long necks and maybe rounded shoulders. We're only going to be making from the shoulders up for today's art project. So here's a face shape that I think I'm going to use for my self-portrait that I'm going to be making. The eyes usually have big round circles. They're big and white. You can make some eyelids, some spiky eyelashes. You could make some pointy eyes if you want them to look a little creepy or sinister. Here's some fancy eyebrows that kind of look like mustaches. And here are some other eyes that could look really cool and a little bit spooky. Here are some noses. Basically, they're pretty long and pointy. This one's kind of funny. It's kind of like an upside down U with some circles. And then here are the mouths that we can work from. This one has a whole bunch of teeth. This one only has 3 teeth. Here's one that you might use, and I think I might use that one. So start to think about what are your favorite eyes, noses, mouths, and face shapes, and then we can get started. We're going to put it in a very ornate frame. So here's some frame ideas that I have. I want it to look like a really old-fashioned, gorgeous painting. So get your frame. I wanted mine to look gold. So I got some yellow construction paper. I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to cut it so that it frames my picture. I want to frame my picture first. I know that's an unusual way of doing it, and you don't have to do it that way, but I just want to make sure that everything fits. I'm going to use a blue construction paper for my background. Sometimes I use blue and sometimes I use gray. I want it to basically look kind of old, like something that you might see at a haunted house. So I would either tape or glue my frame on so that it fits perfectly. And now I'm going to make it look ornate or kind of busy and detailed. I'm going to be using a black marker today. So let's put some curly cues on there, just like on here. Have you ever seen a frame like this? Let's make it fancy. Let's make it look like it's carved, maybe carved out of gold. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's based on lots and lots of curly cues. You can have your own personal style. I kind of like how that looks. And then let's make another one over here. You basically can't go wrong. I always say there are no mistakes in art. Just give it a try. And if you don't like it, fix it. Fix it into something that you're happy with. I'm making it kind of look like a mustache. Okay, let's make some pointy shapes down here. And we can always add more details to our frame later, but we're ready to get started. Okay, remember I told you the faces that we could choose from? I'm going to make mine shape kind of like this. Can you draw the shape that you want in the air? Here's some face shapes that I found online. You could do it very rounded. This one has a pointy chin, and this one has kind of a pointy chin with a little dip. So I'm only going to do my face and shoulders. So here is my face. I'm leaving room for hair because I want to do my hair. I'm going to have a long neck, and then here are my shoulders. Okay. And now I'm going to make my collar that I'm wearing right now. So here, let's have a collar. There we go. And now we're going to add some details. We're going to add some eyes, and the eyes have to be big and white. Normally, I will cut out some big white eyes out of paper. I need to make mine a little bit smaller this time. So I'm going to fold my paper in half, and then that way I can get 2 eyes cut out exactly the same shape. Remember, he used a lot of circles, so I'm going to use 2 circles. And I could draw my eyes white, but I think I'm going to make them extra white by using white copy paper. Use what you have at home. And the choices are going to be up to you. I'll use a little bit of glue stick to stick them in place. Don't worry if they're not exactly perfect. They don't have to be. Okay, so there's my eyes. It's already looking kind of cool, isn't it? So let's take this. I like these eyes right here, so I'm going to put a dot, an eyelid, and some eyelashes. Okay, he also was known for making eyes that had eyelashes all the way around, and they look a little bit tired. So I'm going to put even more little eyelashes. You don't have to if you don't want to. Here's the nose that I want. I liked that long nose that was shaped kind of like this with a little doodad. Let's put some dots. There's a Tim Burton style nose. And then do you remember the mouth that I liked? It was a little teeny mouth and it went up on the side. So I'm going to do that kind of mouth. It was a little bit bigger on the top than on the bottom. And then it went up like that. And then it has these little details to make it look a little bit creepy. Okay, he often does hair that's a little bit messy. So I'm going to do my hair a little bit messy. I'm going to have one hair hanging down my forehead, and then the other one I'm going to have big and drapey down, kind of like that. Don't forget that you always have hair under here sometimes. And here are some other hair ideas. Sometimes they stick up on top. Sometimes they fall down on your forehead. Sometimes they're pointy on top. Sometimes they're spiky. Don't be afraid to get a little crazy and wild with your ideas. So now I'm going to color it. I'm going to stick to not very many bright colors. I'm going to do kind of darker colors that you might find around Halloween. So I'm having purpley lips. This is a pastel, so I can blend it. Then I'm going to do some hair. I think I'll pick this color. Yeah, that pops out against my yellow frame. I want to color solid by going back and forth, back and forth. You can make yours look old-fashioned by just having it gray and white or using some shading. Here's something that another class did. It only used gray and black and white, and they worked with shading. See how they used shadows right here to see where the light was coming from and where the light was hitting the face? Don't forget to do the dark areas around the eyes. It makes it look really cool. Okay, so let's finish the hair. If we want to use color, we can. Don't have to. Okay, I want to try to color in the same direction as much as possible and make a solid line. You have to go back over it a bunch of times to make it nice and solid. Try to stay inside the lines that you made for yourself. And the main thing is add a lot of color. Sometimes I see first graders coloring like this, and they have a lot of the background showing. What you want to do is take the time that it takes to go over it and over it and over it and fill it in. If you get tired, take a break and come back to it. You don't need to finish it all at once. Good art takes time, and sometimes your hands can get a little tired. So don't be afraid to take a break, and so that your art can be truly a masterpiece that you might want to hang on your wall. Okay, I don't want to add a lot of color because I want it to look kind of old and antique-y and something that you might find in a haunted house. Let's add a little bit of shading, like in that picture I showed you. A little bit of white for shading. That's where the light's hitting me, right there. So there's a light shining, and I'm a little bit highlighted right there. Okay, now I think I'll color my collar, a little bit of red to add a pop of color. And I can wear whatever I want to wear. You could do your whole body if you wanted to, but this is a good way to get started on your first Tim Burton. And once you get good at drawing these, you can move on to studying his bodies, types that he liked to use in his artwork. Okay, so that is my Tim Burton style Gothic fantasy art self-portrait. So take a look at the different eyes and noses and face shapes and mouths and see if you can make your own Tim Burton art for Halloween. Bye, Smarties.